Hey guys, Paul Ween from OneWrestling.com with your TNA Lockdown report. As you can see, I have a TNA Lockdown shirt thanks to TNA. I saw the pay-per-view and man, I was exhausted. I mean, every match in a steel cage, it was crazy. By the way, during the free-for-all, they had a dark match, which was Devon, Brother Devon beating Anarquia from Mexican America, which was a good match, but you know, I feel bad that Devon was on the dark match and Bully Ray was in the pay-per-view, but something they shouldn't have broke on for Dudley's, but we'll leave it at that. First match out of the box was the X Division number 1 contenders match. You had Chris Sabian, Robbie E, Jeremy and Max Buck. You had Amazing Red, Jay Lethal, Brian Kendrick, and Suicide. And it was an elimination match, and it was pinfall until the last two people were left. And then the last two, one of them had to escape the cage. In order of elimination, you had Suicide, then Jay Lethal, then Amazing Red, then Chris Sabian, then Jeremy Buck, which surprised me because I thought it would come down to brother versus brother, but it didn't. Then you had Jeremy Buck eliminated, then Robbie E. Came down to Max Buck versus Brian Kendrick. Max Buck actually escaped the cage, and now he's the number 1 contender for Kazarian's X Division Championship. So we'll see where that goes, and will there be more jealousy now between brother versus brother, Max and Jeremy? Then you had the Ford Tag Team match with Inc., the British Invasion, Douglas Williams and Magnus, Eric Young and Orlando Jordan, who creeped me out, and Scott Steiner and Crimson. Turns out Inc. made the win, but my favorite part was when Eric Young actually climbed over the cage, which, by the way, this was not escape the cage match, it was pinfall submission, but Eric Young climbed over the cage, thinks he won, and then Inc. made the pinfall when Scott Shannon Moore pinned Magnus. So, sorry Eric Young. Inc. Focus. Anyway, then you had, for the Knockouts Championship, Mickie James defeat Madison Rayne, and she did it in like 35 seconds. Now, I have to give my wife Julie credit because she said that, you know, because Mickie James' shoulder was all taped up, and she said probably she only had enough time to just win the title. But it was quick. It took more time for Madison to do her little, you know, tiara, princess wave than for the entire match. But finally, props to Mickie James. She won the championship, and finally, so let's see how she keeps it. And let's see what happens now. I bet you $5 that Madison Rayne is going to blame Tara for not coming out to save her, even though, I don't know, they were locked in a cage. But anyway, you had Samoa Joe beat the Pope with his rear choke, which was really good. He had it really cinched in. That was a good match. A lot of near falls in that match. I really enjoyed that. Then you had Matt Morgan defeat Hernandez, which he caught him in midair with the carbon footprint, which was good. But then Sarita and Rosita came out. Well, they were there anyway, but saying that we should be the Knockouts champion, and then of course Velvet Sky comes out and beats the crap out of both of them, and they ran out of the cage all scared. Then, the most personal match of the night, you had Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett. And then, you know, I know Kurt Angle very well. He's a very down-to-earth guy. I met him many times, really nice. Spoke to him on the phone, had him on my radio show. But this match, I never saw him more focused and like in business mode, if you will, than ever before. So it was ultra male rules. First fall was submission. Second fall was pinfall. Third fall, if necessary, was escape the cage. So in the first fall, Angle made Jarrett tap out. In the second fall, Jarrett pinned Kurt Angle, but by hooking his tights. And the third fall, which was escape the cage, Kurt Angle beat up Jeff Jarrett, tried to leave the cage, actually was able to leave the cage and wouldn't leave. He went back in to punish Jarrett even more. And I will give Kurt Angle my wrestler of the night, not because I'm biased, because I know him, but when he did that moonsault off the top of the cage, I was like, oh my god. So that was amazing. But it turns out, you know, Jarrett tried to escape, he gave Jarrett the ankle lock, and then Gunner comes out and hits the cage with a steel chair. But then Scott Steiner came out, tried to save, you know, get rid of Gunner. But then Karen Jarrett sprayed Kurt Angle with some hairspray or pepper spray or whatever. Turns out letting Jarrett get the win. So Jarrett actually won the match, which sucks, but what can you do? In the World Championship match, Sting versus Mr. Anderson versus RVD. Turns out it was a great match. You had a double Scorpion Deathlock from Sting, a double mic check from Mr. Anderson. But it turns out Sting came through. He won. Hogan came out, handed a pipe to RVD saying, use this, join us. He threw it back at Hogan, said, I don't want it. Mr. Anderson wound up grabbing it, whacked RVD on the back of the head, but then Sting grabbed him with the Scorpion Death drop, not the Death Lock, but the drop, and wound up winning the match. So Sting is still the World Heavyweight Champion. And in the main event, Lethal Lockdown, Fortune versus Immortal. I can't see Ric Flair bleed anymore. But anyway, it was a great match, a lot of violence, what everybody wanted. First of all, if I got attacked by Freddy Krueger, I don't think I would have bled as much as Ric Flair that night. But sure enough, Christopher Daniels and Matt Hardy went up on the top of the cage. Matt Hardy hits him with a twist of hate, jumps down from the cage, he crawls down. But then Christopher Daniels, off the top of the cage, we're talking 30 feet high, people, did a high cross body onto Abyss and Matt Hardy. Very impressive. So maybe Kurt Angle and Christopher Daniels are kind of a tie as Wrestler of the Night, because those amazing high-risk moves. But it turns out at the end of the match, Robert Roode made Ric Flair tap out. But the most impressive thing was the return of AJ Styles. He looked great, he seemed in great shape, he was okay. And as my wife said, her boyfriend's back now, I'm gonna be in trouble. But good match. I thought the pay-per-view was good. They had an impressive crowd. And I hope you guys enjoyed my written lockdown report on OneWrestling.com. And again, check it out. Check out more information on wrestling at OneWrestling.com. So thank you, TNA. Thank you, Lockdown. Thank you, TNA roster. And for all the wrestling news, go to OneWrestling.com. This is Paul Ween, and we will see you at the matches.